He was terribly wet. So what they had to do, was hang him outside the window, upside down, so the water could drop off.
I see, yes.
And that, of course, is how he met his death.
Thank you. We will be returning to that interview with Dame Lydia Backscratch in tomorrow's edition of Talking Art. But now we return to our review of the folk social drama, The Orchard, episodes of which we've been broadcasting within our programme. We now reach episode 13. It's a landmark for the series in many ways. Dolly Lampwick, the veteran music hall star who plays Betty Towbridge, has suffered a heart attack and had to be hastily written out of the show. Her disappearance, as written into the script, ironically turned into one of the series' biggest storylines. Who killed Betty Towbridge? Dolly Lampwick's recovery and return to the programme a few months later meant nobody did, but it kept audiences on the edge of their seats for some weeks. Also, as part of the story writers attempting to cover Betty's absence, a new character was hastily drafted in, that of the Squire's sister, Lady Caroline. Editor Seth Haverstock managed to secure the services of distinguished actress Diana Brattington Smythe for an undisclosed sum and the promise that she would only be required for 12 episodes. In the event, she stayed for 32, although hated every minute of it. Finally, this episode marked the beginning of the end for Seth Haverstock, who up to now had had sole control over the programme. But senior producers, worried about falling ratings, began to bring in new people, and changes which ultimately many feel led to the show's decline and inevitable end. But that's not yet. Here is episode 13. Is that all right for you, Norman? The Orchard, the everyday story of country fruit. The year begins to turn, and the villagers prepare to celebrate Harvest Festival. Meanwhile, changes at the manor house cause some consternation, and May has still not shown her husband the letter from the medical board, saying whether or not he is authorized to resume surgery.
Grandad do love Harvest Festival.
Yes, it's a happy time. The crops all gathered in. Mind you, I think all that cider he's been drinking's got something to do with it. Easy, Dad. I hope they don't notice up at the orchard that you've been bringing a few bottles home, Tom and Tim.
No, they got their own troubles.
Oh, they haven't got more troubles, have they?
We don't know why. And what's that supposed to mean? Nothing.
Go inside and get changed, both of you. Church is in half an hour. Well, what do they mean?
Nothing, Mar. They just stir in the pot as always.
Well, you better get changed too.
I ain't going.
Or ain't going to Harvest Festival?
No, got digging to do.
Or on a Sunday? Come back here, you... Oh.
Or...
Yes, I am too. Oh, it's all that Mrs. Picton's fault. If she let him alone, he'd be all right.
Or...
You think so?
Or...
Maybe you're right. If she understood, I'll try and have a word with her after church. I presume we still have our own pew?
Yes, Aunt Caroline.
Our pew, Neville, not yours. Ours.
Course not mine, Pansy. No, it's the family pew. Come here, Neville, dear. Take my hand and help me up.
Yes, Auntie.
Ow! Yes, I always did have a very tight grip on everything. Now that Peregrine is in custody until his trial, and I have taken my rightful place as head of the family, it occurs to me that you might be thinking of moving out. Well, I want to assure you that any such notion will not offend me at all. In fact, rather than overfill the family pew, Should you decide to remain here to pack your belongings and to be gone by the time we return, I should not be surprised. And I do not like to be surprised. My late husband surprised me once. He did not do so again. It's just that I'm not sure that Dad would want me to. As if that man matters now. But they don't have any real evidence, you see, and he may be released.
Tell him, Mummy.
Shush! Tell me what?
About the evidence Mummy found.
That's enough, Pansy. Come along, or we shall be late for church. Goodbye, Neville. We thank you, O Father, for all things bright and good, the seed time and the harvest, our life, our health, our food.
You see that lady in the big hat, Mary?
Yes?
That's Lady Caroline, the squire's sister. She's installed at the hall now. She might make a very lucrative private patient.
I should have a word with her afterwards.
I intend to.
I'll have a word with Mrs. Picton after the service, Dad. I'll be discreet.
Thank the Lord for all his love. I wonder if I might have a word, Mrs. Picton?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Bidderdale.
It's about my boy.
Tim? Oh, he's doing very well at the bottling work. And before you ask, so is Tom.
No, the other one.
Oh, Tom works very hard too, but he doesn't always turn up.
Well, he will always go his own way. But it's the other one I want to talk to you about.
Oh.
You see, when he was little, he had this toy onion. Well, I say toy, it was a real onion, but he wanted a toy so much I said it was.
Right.
He loved that onion, he did. Took it to bed with him, nursed it when it got sick. They'd play together for hours. He'd roll it up the hill, then roll it up the hill, then roll it up the hill.
I see. Well, thank you. It's just that I think he's getting like that about you. He wants to roll me up a hill. He gets too attached.
Oh, I didn't see you there, Mr. Bidderdale.
Dad thinks the same. My boy do get obsessed with things. Won't let 'em go. Has to keep 'em close. He don't mean no harm, but unless you want him to become obsessed with you, send him home after work. Don't invite him in for cups of tea, and don't chitter-chatter.
I'll certainly remember that, Mrs. Bidderdale. Every word you said. Thank you.
What became of the onion?
It's all dried up and shriveled now. He keeps it in an airtight box under the bed. If ever I were to throw that onion away, he'd cry his little heart out.
Oh. Well, thank you again.
Oh, dear. Do you think I should have mentioned that business in Yodelbright?
Oh,
No, no need to rake it up. And he promised he'd never do that again. Mrs. Bidderdale?
Oh, yes, Lady Caroline. May I say how nice it is to see you back up at the hall?
Are you still the cleaner there?
Yes, Lady Caroline.
It is filthy.
Very dirty.
2 options occur. 1, you improve. 2, you are dismissed.
Well,
I have already decided upon the second. First thing Monday morning, collect your cleaning materials and leave. Good day to you. Your sermon, Vicar.
Yes, Lady Caroline.
Nonsense from beginning to end.
Oh, dear.
It's just that the Bible says... The Bible? What does the Bible know about working the land in Napplewick? Has anyone in the Bible ever been to Napplewick?
No.
Next week your sermon shall be upon the sins of the fathers.
Well, at least I get to keep their cleaning materials. Doesn't seem like a good time to speak to her, Nick.
No. I'll call up at the hall Monday, introduce myself. Let her know she's in good hands if she gets ill.
He doesn't look the sort who gets ill.
Oh, wait till she's my patient. Probably a host of ailments she doesn't even realise she has. She needs to know I'm not merely a country doctor, but a fine surgeon too. You remember Mr. Tandy, the fishmonger? Chopped off his finger, but it stayed fresh in the ice around the cod he was gutting?
Yes.
I was able to sew that finger back onto his hand.
It was a superlative piece of surgery, Nick.
If only I hadn't amputated the hand first, he would have been as good as new. That stupid shop assistant of his sold the finger with a piece of cod. By the time I'd got it back, I'd already cut off the hand. Had to stop the bleeding.
Best laid plans.
I still have that hand somewhere in a jar of formaldehyde. Perhaps I shall show it to Lady Caroline. Let her know the sort of man she's dealing with.
Oh, good afternoon, Constable.
Good afternoon to you.
Welcome to the Mothole Hotel.
Thank you. Is Mr. Towbridge available?
I'm afraid he's had to go to Glossop. I know, on a Sunday. He's very conscientious about his work, you see.
Oh, I see.
What he can do about a broken thresher, of course, I don't know. I mean, he sells them, not makes them.
Perhaps you could give him a message?
In any case, I'm far too busy running the hotel to care whether he's in Glossop or Tobermory or Tunbridge Wells, and that's the truth.
It's about his mother.
Betty? Oh, he's not dragged the police into this. She's only been missing a week.
It's just that the lads over at Yodelbright have pulled a body out of a lake. Quite excited about it, they are. It's all covered in muck and weeds and all sorts of stuff, they say. And they only know it's a woman, because they can see it's not a man.
You think it could be Betty?
Could be. It's hard to tell from the photograph, all that mud and dirt.
Well, haven't you cleaned her up at all?
No, the mud and dirt's on the photograph. I dropped it in the puddle. We need him to come and identify the body.
Oh, he might be ours. I need to know. I'll come.
Oh, it's got to be a family member by rights.
Well, I am a family member. Tony's my husband.
Oh, no, I wish you'd said I'd done it all wrong. There's a special way to tell relatives when we find a corpse. Let me see now. It's sit down, please, madam.
Why?
I'm afraid I've some news that might be distressing. To you.
I'll get my hat and coat. Janice, are you there?
It's probably nothing. We don't want to alarm you. But my colleagues have come across a corpse. Oh, no, I crossed that out.
It's just for an hour, Janice. I'll pay you extra.
The body of a woman.
I'm sorry?
Eh?
Was she wearing shoes? Well, never mind. Come on, let's be off. I've left a note for Tony, Janice, just on the off chance he comes back. Make sure he gets it, won't you?
Janice, what are you doing behind the desk? No, don't answer it. I can guess. My wife gone off somewhere. You know, Janice, there was a time that if I came home and my wife was out and a pretty girl was behind the desk, I'd be asking her to have an intimate drink with me in the bar. But even if there was a pretty girl behind the desk, all I can think about now is Mother. Where is she, Janice? Where is she gone? Oh, what's this? A note from Alison? Why didn't you say so? Dear Tony, police may have found your mother. If so, she's dead. Oh, no, it can't be true. Whoever the police have found, it's not my mother.
Is Tony's mother dead? Will the squire be released from prison? Will Dr. Clark ever be allowed to practice surgery again? Who really pulled Neville from the boiling vat of cider? The writer this week is Norman Lebastable Hetherington, the fruitery consultant is Professor Max Gravity, and the editor is Silas Haverstock. The orchard is set in a non-specified geographical location.